more fluid access. It's not a great big panacea. These FTAs they help, but hard work still needs to be put in. I think with China and New Zealand wine, I think the tariff is reducing to nearly zero or zero, and over the next couple of years it's already dropped.
So that may be a good boost there.
Yeah, it will help, but then you still have to educate, this growing middle class in China that this is the product you want. This, wine is what you need to be buying, and that's true of other countries as well. In short, it will help, but a lot more money is going to be spent on marketing campaigns, far more than you've probably ever seen before.
Right, and where's that going to come from in terms of the Wine Growers Association and their level of what they've been able to do? They've been pretty much operating on a shoestring in some markets, haven't they? Yeah,
and some generic New Zealand branding of wine would help in that sense, but it's going to come down to the companies, really. They're going to have to go in there and push their product. And be on the ground. They're going to have to physically be on the ground, doing the tasting, doing the shows, doing the supermarket specials. That's where they're going to have to be. But and in the restaurants, really importantly.
How can they compete with some of the very large companies, particularly in Australia, with their marketing might that they have? Keith, is it a case of being smarter and working harder?
Well, I think the one key point is quality and word of mouth about the quality. I think that's one of the key points in any marketing thing. And we don't want to get into the bulk market because our wine is much better than that and should be kept at that level. The danger is people selling because they have to sell and make some money and not keeping the standard and the price up.
Yeah, well, we certainly don't want to see that, do we? Next up, we have a look at media comments making noise around the traps. Welcome back. Now it's on to You Said It, comment in the ag media, which we'd like to discuss in more depth. Well, Liam, Alan Hubbard, South Canterbury's richest man, he's been in the news a lot recently. What's likely to happen?
Well, the serious fraud office over the weekend romped in and put him and his trusts into statutory management, and that's going to be an investigation that's going to take some weeks, and we're not going to find out what's going to happen until then. They're not going to make any comment until then. It's possible that they may find that perhaps there's been some issues with how the paperwork's been done, but I suspect it's unlikely that they're going to find that any intentional wrongdoing.
Because there's been a huge show of support for Mr Hubbard in South Canterbury, hasn't there? He's extremely well thought of. I spoke to a couple of people down there the other day, and yeah, everyone's got really fond things to say about him. And Keith, one of the most notable things he's been involved in is getting a lot of youngsters settled on their own farms.
Yes, I know a number of young farmers who have been put on and helped into farms by Mr Hubbard, and he's very respected in the area, and people will find it very difficult, considering his own frugal lifestyle with his VW and all that, that he could be doing such a thing as has been threatened with. I think things might clear up a bit when the books are gone through.
Yes.
Maybe he's a bit behind in his books.
Yeah, it could just be a case of simple accounting irregularity with no malice underneath it, Liam, perhaps?
It could easily be that. There's the government, I guess, is concerned about its stake with the guarantees. There's about 1.3 billion riding on that. So obviously they got wind that something was wrong, and they wanted to check it out. I think it's as simple as that. Yeah, well, the sooner the better that things reach a conclusion, I guess. Well, the ETS protest this week at Parliament, Keith. About 80 or 90 people turned out. Federated Farmers President Don Nicholson said it is signalling the start of a winter of discontent. What do you think the protest achieved?
Well, I think it's certainly got in the paper and put forward the view that I fear sometimes government hasn't listened to farmers enough about. There's a lot of issues because you're talking to farmers who are struggling in the sheep and beef industry in particular, in some areas, who are going to struggle to meet those extra costs. A lot of our competitors aren't going to be faced with those costs.
Well, Dick Bellamy, writing in the New Zealand Herald, he's making the point that the hills above Nelson are in a shocking state due to the fact that logging companies have come in, harvested the trees and left behind a lot of debris. This is an issue that's been talked about before, Liam. It's just a short-term situation, though, isn't it? It
is a short-term situation in terms of just a few years. Once the new plantings start growing. I lived in an area. I come from the Bay of Plenty, which is surrounded with hills with plantation forests on them, and this was a regular thing. You'd see great swathes of brown appear where there used to be green as these trees and the debris sort of just disappeared. But over time, it all becomes right again. I don't see. Well, it's a short-term visual impact. I don't think it detracts from the area. I mean, it's got plenty of other attributes down there.
Do you think, Keith, it's just a timely reminder to tourists and visitors where New Zealand's real wealth comes from?
I think that's true. And, you know, I've seen it in the Marlborough Sounds, you know, the trees are cut and within a few years they're up again growing. So, you know, it's just a cycle of life with the trees, really.
Well, moving on to the Crayfer Farm sales, a bit of a saga, Liam, but there's been an extension for the due date for tenders to come in. What sort of difference is this going to make?
Well, the receivers tell me this is all about allowing those other interested parties more time to get their affairs in order so they don't have to rush. They've had plenty of time. I'm not sure what the big rush is. Word is that Landcorp has been seriously sniffing around as recently as late last week. So it could be all pinned on that. We, of course, don't know who these other potential bidders are. We know about the Hong Kong interests with Mei Wang, and we know that a proposal's been accepted, but a higher bid can come in, and if a higher bid comes in, it'll trump the Wang bid. So, of course, the receivers are going for more dollars, the most dollars they can possibly get. And so I can only presume that this means the interest will succeed the Wang bid by quite a lot, I would think.
Right. Be good to get a conclusion to this saga.
It's gone on and on, hasn't it? It's, and I guess it's affecting prices in some areas and farm sales. I guess there's a lot of young farmers who would hope they could get a chance at one of them.
So that may still be a possibility.
Well, I would hope so.
Yeah, I don't know if it is, because they seem to be just selling them as a single package, those 16 farms.
If Landcorp got it, then they may well. There's some they say they'd like and some they don't. They may well split others off to young farmers or other people who want to buy it.
Might be a solution to matters. All right, well, Bill Faulkner, the chairman of the Meat Industry Association, he's been talking about the possibility of some money coming out of government or the wider New Zealand community going into large companies such as Fonterra, perhaps. Do you think it's a good idea, Keith?
Well, I think it's good if we're particularly talking about the use of our superannuation funds and all that. I think it's very good to invest in our own country. To enable our industry to get stronger and to expand further. I think an excellent move. Right.
Liam, what do you think?
I agree. It doesn't even necessarily have to be direct investment, but some of the money that's, for example, the money that was poured into Kiwi Rail, clearly that wasn't a winner. And there's plenty of winners. There's plenty of winners out there.
Out there, yeah, right. Well, speaking of Fonterra, they've got their capital restructuring vote coming up next week. How do you think that's going to go?
Oh, I think it'll go well. I think it's definitely going to cross the line. I'd be very surprised.
But there are some detractors out there internationally,
well, there certainly are. I mean, the US farmers, the dairy farmers, have always been concerned about Fonterra and its global might. But now we've got the US Dairy Export Council writing to the Agriculture Minister, David Carter. He's also sent it to MAF, not really trying to influence the government, but suggesting that this what they call an obvious power grab. Having the support of the New Zealand government is concerning them. Their biggest concern is that Fonterra is just going to be stronger as a result. Farmers are going to be locked